Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Shouting into the Void. Apologies for missing the weekend, but in exchange for that, you're gonna get hopefully two this weekend. We're gonna back to back this one. This is the weekly series where myself and Liam over here, we watched Doctor Who, specifically from 2005 onwards. We've watched it before. This is just us going back through and being like, wow, this is worse than I remember. Or, wow, this is better than I remember. Or, that's exactly how I remember it happening. Those are the three choices. There are no more. We have made it through, pretty much five series plus a few extras. Which means we're now at the end of series 5. Wow.
What on earth?
How time has flown. We are at episode 12, the Pandorica Opens. And it did open.
And closed.
It did close again, yes. It was open for about 5 minutes. And that was it.
That's all they needed.
Literally. This is the episode where the Doctor... I've forgotten how he gets involved. It's just pure coincidence, isn't he? He's like, let's go and have a look at this cliff face, and then it's a sign
from River,
and it drags him to Roman Britain, where he has to go and explore Stonehenge, and then he gets trapped by a bunch of aliens. So River's back. She invites him back, and she causes the TARDIS to explode. Wahey. Rory's back. But he's an Auton and he kills Amy. Or hey, Vincent's back, but he only paints something at the end, at the start, and that's it. He's gone. Winston and Bracewell are back, but they're only there to see the picture. Phone River.
They phone River, yeah.
Wow, they phone the TARDIS in the time vortex, and the TARDIS goes, I'm gonna phone River. And Liz 10's back.
She is.
To say, I'm the queen, and leave again.
Yeah. She owns the painting, but I'd never looked at it.
Yep, of course. I think that's it. I think they're the only returning characters, and the fleeting cameos they have.
Yes.
Obviously, they're not the crux of this story. The crux is, what's the Pandorica? Why is it opening? Why do all these alien creatures want in? Basically,
there's a reason that whole bit's the pre-credit sequence, because that's not the story.
Exactly. So what did you think of this episode, part 1 of the finale?
Yes, I very much enjoyed it. It was very good.
Yep.
Kind of what I expected, really, because I've always fondly remembered this episode and this story as a whole. But yeah, there's some great stuff in there. It definitely feels like a huge kind of culmination. The specific, I guess, emotions and feelings the episode echoes, it's kind of leans into my positives, so I don't want to get too specific too soon. But I think they do a great job at that. I think the cast are great. All the twists and turns with it, I think, still land after many moons have passed.
Yes.
12 years. 12 years.
12 long years.
That's a lot of years. But yeah,
we were 13 at the time. We were just teenagers.
Wow.
Now it's rapidly approaching 30.
Yeah. Wow. Literally less than a month to 26.
Oh boy. Fun times.
I'm not spiraling though. It's fine. Anyway, Doctor Who. But yeah, I very much enjoyed it. Great set pieces in there. Great acting in there. And definitely leaves on a note like, how the fuck are they getting out of this? You know, which is always a good way to end a Doctor Who episode.
And how do they? Yes. They do.
Yes, they do. Time travel. So yeah, I had a blast with it, as I kind of expected. And yeah, a real Doctor Who story, I would say. And yeah, this is kind of, when I think of Series 5, this is always the story that I very much kind of cling to. I've often considered it one of my favorite finales. And thus far, at the halfway point of it, I still do think that. So hopefully, you know, the Big Bang will kind of pay off a very excellent first part.
Yes, I agree. I think this one is very, just the scale of it is very sort of finale. It feels like a finale. There's so many stakes, an intriguing question at the middle of it, and literally all the Doctor Who tropes that you could possibly want, including certain returning villains, which I'm sure we'll come on to. But yes, as always, we tend to have 3 positives and 3 negatives. Some of my negatives this week are very nitpicky.
Two of my 3 are nitpicky.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Looking at mine, definitely most of them are nitpicky. But we will come on to the negatives soon. First, it's the positives.
Hey.
I'll start us off with a positive that I'm sure Ryan Gosling would agree with. It is the Stonehenge speech.
That's my number 1 as well.
Yeah, notoriously Ryan Gosling's favourite scene of Matt Smith's, I think. Whether he's only seen this episode or the scene.
I think he said it was randomly on, and he just saw this scene.
Yeah, randomly on. But it's part of Matt Smith's showreel, and as being like
it's randomly on because it accidentally fell out of his Doctor Who box set from his shelf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he now has. He has like a whole.
Just randomly on, I promise.
Shelf. I'm not a fan. Who's shooting? I've never met him before in my life.
Hiding his T-shirt he got printed.
Yeah. But yes, I think this is excellent. It really is. I think the pinnacle of Matt Smith in this series. It's so like. If you didn't sort of buy him as the Doctor up until this point, I think this would be the scene that would turn you. And for those that are already initiated, this is the one that just like firms it. You're thinking, there's this whole massive alien spaceship. It would be silly to do anything, and then he gives this massive speech, basically saying, "Go on, then, I'll take you all on.
Fuck around and find out.
Send your best boys," and then they do, and then he's like, "Oh wait, no,
oh no,
I didn't read it."
Around and found out.
Yeah.
No, I'm in another box, but a different box.
Oh god, they really do put me in a box in this episode. But yes, I just think it's great. It's just it's hard to find the words, but I just think he's excellent in the scene. He's excellent throughout, but this speech specifically, I think, is what people remember of Matt. Well, one of the things people remember of Matt Smith's run. Definitely what people remember of Series 5, and there is good reason to it because it is very good. It is iconic. It's probably this one and his "I'm the Doctor" sort of speech in the 11th hour, I think, are 2 that people are very fond of, and for good reason. Plus, not just the speech itself, but the setting. Stonehenge is great with the Romans around him, looking up at this vast array of spaceships and sort of the wind billowing and the light on him. And I think it all comes together to be really, really well done. I honestly thought it was going to come sooner in the episode than it did. I thought when they started reading out the spaceships, I was like, "Oh, isn't that when he goes out?" But no, it's
I was surprised at how later on it is. Yeah,
but that aside, it's probably the best bit of the episode. I don't think I would be harsh in saying that. But yeah, so what did you enjoy about it?
That basically, good, isn't it? I love the soundtrack as it's all going off, as all the spaceships fly away, and I think like the effects of spaceships all in there look really cool. It's just such a Doctor Who image to have Stonehenge surrounded by all of these weird creatures. But yeah, Matt Smith's fantastic as he always is. Shocker, I enjoyed his performance in this episode. He has a lot of good moments, and this speech is kind of the pinnacle of that. I think his delivery of it's really cool. It's a really well written speech. The way it's all staged and the lighting, all of it comes together really, really nicely. And yeah, 11 has plenty of iconic speeches, but this is like the one that I think people will still kind of fondly remember in particular. And yeah, it's just a really nice moment to kind of reflect on, like you mentioned, his speech from the 11th hour as well to the Atraxi. Just kind of seeing how far this kind of Doctor's come from there, because that was the speech he was putting on that costume for the first time, and now he's really settled in. So it's a really cool moment, and I think I appreciate it even more when I rewatch it, because what's coming, and they're like, you're screwed, mate. They're listening to this, they're laughing their asses off in those spaceships as you're doing this, and that just kind of adds like a morbidity to it, if that's a word. that I actually quite enjoy as well. Kind of irony behind it.
Morbius.
It's Morbin
Wait.
time. That's the only line that he needed to add to that speech to make it 10 out of 10. It's Morbin time. Need to do redub it. In the 60th when he says it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, when they have the archive footage, that's the only time he'll only come in. He'll be one scene, and he'll just go, "It's Morbid time," and then leave. And
yeah, he's not even playing the Doctor; he's playing Milo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the amazing crossover none was expected.
Yeah, there you go, iconic. But yeah, just everything about that speech, I think, is so brilliantly done. And yeah, definitely kind of the big point of the episode, I think, and the last kind of hopeful moment before shit hits the fan. So I think that's also why it's kind of appropriately placed in the episode in the end, because I was surprised like you how late on it kind of came. But yeah, it was in a way, calm before the storm, at least for the Doctor, because he thought that was going to buy him a bit more time. But no, because it turns out they're all working together. You fool, you foolish fool. But yeah, fantastic scene, fantastic speech, great performance, all of that. Complete package, and a very, Doctor Who at its best, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. My second positive sort of comes on to that, as you sort of alluded to, the Alliance. I just think that's a great concept. I think, I'm just so surprised it's taken Doctor Who 48 years, 47 years to do this at this point. It's like all of these villains have been defeated by this one guy. You'd think at one point they're like, I wonder if we all team up, maybe we could take him down. And they do. It's just a shame that their timing is really bad. They couldn't have timed it worse. If they did it again now, probably fine. I mean, they might be doing that in the centenary. Who knows?
Maybe.
But I just love just the array. I know it's mainly down to, especially when they're all in the room, it's mainly down to what costumes they've got. But just the array of villains, from the Cybermen, the Daleks, the Sontaran, the Silurians, to the Laser Quest alien from Sarah Jane Adventures and the Blowfish from Torchwood. I think there's a couple of Weevils in there, isn't there, at some point?
Yeah. I've got a whole list of all the aliens that you
cannot
so
wait.
Don't worry.
Good. But just there's so many of them, and I feel like they're all not necessarily all there for a reason, but you feel like they're all there for a reason. You feel like they all have beef with the Doctor, that they're like, right, we can put aside our differences.
Yeah, it's a big deal when they're getting along.
Yeah, and like it's just the way this is almost the perfect plan. They have done this amazingly well. It literally is just the terrible timing of the Order of the Silence, or whatever they are, deciding we're going to blow up the TARDIS now, and the Doctor's not going to be able to stop it, because in theory they're both wanting the same thing. The Alliance and the Silence both want the Doctor not to be like, hey, Time Lords, come on home. But because the only people not in the Alliance are the Silence, that's why they fail. But that's because they haven't been invented yet.
Yes.
But yes, I think this it's great. I just love seeing it's nostalgia, and it shows the depth I think the show has more than anything. I always love when shows, whether that be Doctor Who or Supernatural or Stargate or anything, have these big effectively crossover events where it's like, oh my god, there's that and there's that, just because it adds to the world building, and you feel like it's one big universe. And I think it does it very well in this. But yeah, what's your second positive?
My second, well, one of my additional ones was the Alliance and their plan as well, so that's just like an additional one. But my second is actually the opening sequence, the free titles. Okay. It's just, I like it when there's a bit of payoff like that and rewards people who have been sticking with it from the start. Particularly,
and it's not a flashback.
No, they come later. But at least they were about the main plot, I guess.
Yes.
Rather than flashbacking to earlier in the episode, apart from the Romans. But yeah, I really enjoyed kind of, here's your reward for following along this entire series, and kind of best bits depending on what characters you liked and didn't, I suppose.
Bracewell, the best
Bracewell, best boy. That man is in everything nowadays.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah, everywhere I turn, he's got maybe he's got a new agent.
Everywhere I go, I see his face.
Everywhere I go, I see his face. Oh, he's braced well. But yeah, I really enjoy kind of all of them popping up. The episode starting off with Vincent, you're like, oh shit, okay.
Wait a minute, we're back here again.
Yeah, and because we're not necessarily being like, oh, these guys, have a relationship with the Doctor. You should find this important. For us as an audience who've watched the entire series, we've seen that, we know that. We don't need to be told that. So seeing Vincent's connection with the Doctor and Amy a few episodes back, the fact that he's painted this thing and it's like tearing him up and everything, you just it's a big deal. And then I think how they link all the different timelines together is really clever. Also our first appearance of Dorium, the
yes
I'm fat, I'm blue, and all of that. I like all that
Best
sequence
boy,
kind of
yeah.
playing up, and he obviously ends up becoming a bit of a recurring character as well. So yeah, it simultaneously makes the world feel quite big with like the Alliance and stuff and all these different things coming in, but also kind of like a personable circle of friends that Doctor has, and I just like that because it does kind of feel like everyone coming back in the Stolen Earth and Journey's End. However you'd argue their usage, if it's good or not, it shows that the Doctor does have a family out there and has those connections out there. And I like it when they do that every now and again. It's not something they should do every single week, because my God. But I like that we know these characters well enough that a cameo is fine, because it's not like, oh, they've been wasted there, because their characters have had the whole episodes to themselves and had arcs and stuff. So yeah, I love how it all comes together. I love the slow build up to trying to reveal what the painting is, and then the final reveal. Obviously, that painting is kind of an iconic Doctor Who image now. Everyone and their mum had a poster of that in their room.
Yeah, I did.
I certainly did as well. I remember buying it at the Doctor Experience, single tier. And yeah, I just really enjoy all of that, how it all kind of culminates. And it's a 7-minute opening sequence, and it just instantly is like, okay, this is a big deal. And again, I like that it's all before the credits, because that's not the point of the story. Is like, look who's showing up, look at all these cameos, because this episode's 5 minutes longer than normal, so it's just accounting for that opening bit, and then you actually have the story. So yeah, I like that the cameos aren't the story, which some people nowadays would twist and get disappointed when that's not the case. But yeah, I really enjoy that. It's a nice kind of punch the air celebratory moment of Series 5. It just feels like, yeah, we made it. Whole new production team, whole new Doctor, whole new world, whole new set of characters and stuff. But they have kind of made a really neat story, kind of trying to wrap up and reach a pinnacle at the end. So yeah, I like that it's kind of a celebration, like the End of Time farewell tour. Obviously not as grandiose, because they're not characters we've known for years and years. But I think it's a really cool kind of way of setting up the finale. And it's fun kind of seeing those faces again, however brief.
Yep, I think that's fair. The only person we were missing was James Corden.
Yeah.
They just couldn't pay
Couldn't
him.
afford his cameo.
No. Just give him a whole episode instead.
Yeah. They just said, see you next year.
Yeah, see you later, bye. Yes, fair enough. I think that is fair. I think that is one of the sort of the better pre-title sequences I think we've had this series, especially because, as you mentioned, it ties everything together in a really nice way, even though we only see one of those characters again after this. Well, other than Dorian, we see Winston and Dorian, I guess.
Dorian and Winston, yeah.
But yeah, and then we see all of them again in Big Finish, I expect.
Almost certainly.
Maybe not Vincent, but I think definitely Bracewell, Winston, Dorian, Liz 10. I think they've all got Big Finish.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely been in like a Liz 10 thing, I swear. Yeah.
Almost definitely. Yes, I've got a lot of positives, but I think for the third one and my final main one, I'm going to put that Cyberman Centurion. Just because I think it's a really cool concept. I really liked it. I liked the sort of guy, the hint of the arm there, being like, is that safe? And then it's not, and be like, oh, it's just an arm. It's dead. And then it like zaps the Doctor, and like, okay. And then you hear the footsteps.
When you hear that, I don't normally find the Cybermen that scary, but that bit gets me every time when you hear it, and then like puts the head in. Oh my God, she's fucked.
it's especially because you're like, oh, you and whose body, and it's like, oh no,
And he was just waiting
mistake.
around the corner, like, yeah, she said the line.
It's me.
Here's where I come in.
Yeah, I liked the weird, the whole tentacles coming out of the head. I liked the way the head opened and the skull fell out, and it like tried to just eat Amy's head. I really appreciated that, like, sort of cyber design. I know these are they've got the Cybers branding on them, but whether or not they're Cybermen, I don't know. I'll just ignore it at that point.
I wonder if we'll find out.
Great. I look forward to it. But you could argue all day about how Cybermen are actually converted and whether there'd be a skeleton in there or whether it would just be their brain. However you want to talk about it. I think in the cyber stuff, they're like, oh, it's the brain's transplanted into the body, but with this man, that obviously wasn't the case because there's a skull in there.
Yes.
But it's fine. The Cybermen upgrade in different ways. They have different things. One of the Cybermen in Series 8 has Danny Pink's face. So Series 8 or Series 9? Series 9? Series 8. Series 8.
Yeah.
Poor Danny
like the original Cybermen, they're literally like cloth faces over.
Yes.
What's left
horrifying.
Of their skulls?
Absolutely horrifying.
It's disgusting.
But yeah, I really like that. I could argue that maybe the Cyberman shouldn't be defeated by a sword, but at the same time, I guess it's been there for like thousands of years, just waiting. So it's gonna rust. It's gonna whatever.
At that point, it's literally it is a robot, really, rather than
yes,
the thing that's going to fight back that much.
Yeah,
Rusty boy.
There's the whole "look at me, I'm a target" where he just jumps out and goes, whoa, and then runs in. I think it's excellent. It's very well done. Just I appreciate it, especially because that's like when you get the first sense of the danger they're in, because you kind of have that with the spaceships, but then you're like, oh, they're not just in the spaceships, they are already on the ground, and then you could argue that hints towards maybe there should be some other threats on the ground that they're not expecting.
I also like that the Doctor's the one who's knocked unconscious, and it's the companion who has to deal with the shit. Normally, like, they'll both get knocked out at the same time, or the companion will be kidnapped or indisposed or something. I like that they switched
even though the companion didn't really do much except throw their head on the door and then get drugged and hide behind the door.
No.
Only for the other companion to come in and then stab it.
I would too be like that if I got drugged.
Yes, yeah, I would be dead. I would not have survived. I think that's the Cyberman Centurion, I think, is one of mine, just because of how unique it is with the Cybermen. I always like seeing different uses of the Cybermen and different uses of enemies in general, and I think this is a very good way they did it. So what is your third and technically final positive?
Yes, technically. So I kind of alluded, I guess, to like the feelings the episode kind of evoked. And this is, again, very morbid, but I'm a depressed motherfucker. So I kind of ties into like the whole cliffhanger ending, really, but like the feeling of hopelessness that kind of ends off the episode. I think the music has a lot to do with that, and the performances, just the whole situation. I just really love it. Amy's seemingly dead, which isn't ideal.
Just gets shot, and then
the doctor's locked away. River's in the TARDIS as it explodes, and just as it all zooms out, and then it just the music just cuts, and it's just dead silent, and the credits roll. So good. And I just like not even having an inkling as to how they might get out of it. Sometimes you'd be like, oh well, she'll dodge out of the way, I guess. Or well, he'll find a way.
She'll just go, whoa.
Yeah, whoa. Or someone will burst through the door with a gun and shoot the thing and save the companion or something. With that, I'm like, I have no idea what on earth they could do to get out of that whole mess of a situation. And I really like that kind of feeling. Same kind of deal as, like, in a different way, I guess, like when the Daleks show up in Army of Ghosts. You're like, that's just changed the game completely.
Yeah.
Like that, where you think the story's going. Now there's Dalek, like, are they going to work together? Are they going to be enemies? It could have gone either way. So you really don't know what to expect. So you're just so desperate to watch the next one. And I kind of get a similar feeling with this, because there's just no way of predicting, I think, where the story is going to go by the end. Once if you're watching it for the first time. And I really enjoyed that it kind of went there and had like a really dark ending. And for now, the Doctor kind of got a bit defeated. So yeah, hell of an ending.
Yeah, and you would have stayed that way again if it wasn't just for that pesky silence causing problems once again.
What are they like?
How dare they? I think that's fair. I think there is, there's very few episodes where you sort of get to a point where like, oh shit, the Doctor's lost, and I can see no way they're going to come out of this. I think Matt Smith probably gets the short end of a lot of those. I think he loses quite a lot, and he's like, oh, what? How do I get my like previous Doctors sort of found like a way out of certain things? But I think Matt Smith definitely gets more of a, oh well, guess I've lost type thing.
Yeah, it's good to have that. It's like I always think of the end of the Impossible Planet when Jefferson and all that with their guns and the Uga advancing, and that's their clipping. I'm like, shoot them.
Yeah. The Doctor, oh no, he's in a cave.
Oh no, the pit's opening up.
Oh no, there's more Silurians in this cave.
Oh no, there's a whole city under the surface, which I'm pretty sure we should have guessed.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it is definitely a very solid cliffhanger. And we will see next week whether it resolves itself satisfactorily.
Satisfyingly.
Sure. I'll take your word for it.
Yes, Connor.
I'll take your word, sure. Additional positives. I really liked the twist that the Pandorica wasn't holding anything, that it was the Doctor.
Yeah.
I think that was nice. Definitely subverts the whole there's something evil in there, or it was built to hold the evil thing, and it sort of adds another layer of you're talking about yourself, because there's the whole aspect of, well, to some people he is pretty evil. He has committed a number of genocides.
Yeah, I think particularly with, I guess, the Matt Smith years, I think Stephen Moffat's kind of vision is that the Doctor's kind of the villain. And I think they kind of lean into that with this, because he does leave a lot of bloodshed behind him, and even like episodes like The Girl Who Waited next series, he's the villain of that episode, and I like that they kind of
good man goes to war as well, and to some extent.
Yeah, and they kind of lean into it because the word Doctor becomes the word for warrior and all of that, because that's just what he does, and his actions kind of catch up to him in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that. This is kind of this is my vision of the character. Russell, it was this kind of guy who's gone through all this trauma, lost all his people, and he needs to kind of rebuild and find something again, find a family again. And that kind of all builds up across Eccleston and Tennant, and they're doing something different with this new era.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely fair. And you can kind of see where the villains come from. You're like, look, everything. It looks like you're going to destroy the universe, mate. We're going to be the good guys here.
Yeah, you can see how they came to that conclusion.
Yeah, I don't think it's you can't blame them for doing that, and I don't think even the Doctor would blame them for doing that.
No, and it's so weird to think of like the Daleks are trying to save the universe here.
Yeah,
it's just such a weird kind of concept to wrap your head around.
Madness, because if they can't destroy it, then nobody should be able to destroy it. So they need to stop that. Yeah, that's one of my one. I just think the scale of this episode we've sort of hinted at with the Alliance and with the sort of the spaceships and the cameos we've had, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
It was pretty well paced, I think, for me. There was sort of no moments where I was like, oh, I don't care. Like you mentioned earlier that it was 5 minutes longer. I wouldn't be able to say that. It felt like it was an average length episode. Just flew by. And also special mention to Rory coming back and killing his wife.
Good on you, buddy.
I think he goes
You forgot me.
he goes through such a roller coaster of emotions in this.
Oh, when he's like getting himself ready for her to turn around and like,
he goes from being like, oh my god, they're here for me, to they don't remember me, to the Doctor remembers me, to Amy doesn't remember me, to oh my god, she's dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh god, poor guy. He really does go through the ringer in this too far.
Go get her and then just smash cut to.
Oh no, I've made a mistake.
Oh no.
But yeah, I'm glad that he's back. I think he's a great character. I think again from this two-parter, he goes from strength to strength, and you get.
I love the scene
confidence
where the Doctor kind of realizes that Rory's there.
He's talking about
Matt Smith's delivery of like, I'll get it in a minute is so good, and then you just hear the guns drop. Those two work brilliantly together, and I actually forgot they had quite a few good interactions in this one. I kind of forgot that was a thing, because I love that about Vampires of Venice, that they kind of had a lot of time together, and I think they got a nice, few really nice scenes in this as well. Yeah,
because there was virtually nothing in Rory's last episode, was there, between him and the Doctor. I don't think,
no, really.
Which is a shame. But yeah, I do think with Amy out of action for a little chunk of this, I think they used that time wisely. They kind of needed to, because they needed to explain. Wait, how's Rory alive? Just is. That's why.
Just is.
So, what other positives do you have? Have you got any other ones we haven't touched on?
Yeah, the alliance and their plan I liked, and then the music, particularly. I can't even remember how I would describe it now, but it was as River was kind of finding all the things in Amy's flat, and it was kind of building up to Rory. It was like
the eerie music.
It was like piano, almost like do, and it was like, oh god, this is kind of adds to the melancholy feeling of the ending. I think it was just slowly building, and then it got like faster and faster. And all of that was really well done. I think like the atmosphere and the tension setting in this episode was done very well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. Especially considering like River's whole sort of side plot isn't necessarily, relevant to this. I mean, it's relevant to the story in the fact that the TARDIS blows up, but sort of the whole reason as to why that comes in is nowhere near relevant to what the Doctor is doing at that point. Yeah. I think the fact that it's still interesting enough and it plants the seeds for the rest of the run of Matt Smith, I think is very.
I think good. That also adds to the ending of the fact that River, who normally does everything effortlessly and gets out of any situation, the fact that she fails to kind of survive, even though we've already seen her die. I think that kind of adds to the scale of like, oh shit, even River
wait a
get
minute.
out of this one.
But she dies later. How is she dead now?
Tune in next week to find out.
Doesn't matter. You can find out later.
Time can be written. It's fine.
Yeah, literally. So negatives, like I mentioned, mine are very nitpicky. Except for maybe one. I'll start with the one that's probably not as nitpicky. It does the classic thing of, oh my god, it's the Daleks. It's the Daleks, Doctor. It's the Daleks up there.
Yes,
the Daleks. I'm like, oh,
that was one of my additional ones. Like, I could just about bear it when Amy did it, but then River's like, Daleks, Doctor. Yes, we know. Amy just said it.
Yeah. I think that's sort of the key one. I think there's a few more in there, but we always, since you pointed it out to me, it has caused me so much pain. Not just in Doctor Who, in everything.
Every show does it.
Every show, every film, just everything I see is now. Oh, please fill your script with other lines.
Please, I beg.
But it's fine, and especially because I mean, you don't necessarily even need to say it's the Daleks. I think the voice is iconic enough for you not to have to say that.
Yeah.
But never mind. It's most of them are nitpicky. That's my sort of least nitpicky one because I think that's one that the show does, and I think I would like to see it be done less in media in general. So that's the only one I feel fair for criticizing. But so please, Doctor Who, please, Russell, if you're watching, stop doing this, please.
That's impossible.
If I see David Tennant,
impossible.
If I see David Tennant come back and say, Donna, oh my God, Donna, you're back. Oh, Donna, I'm like, oh, please stop. I remember that. Remember my memories when Doctor? Do you remember when I lost my memory? Do you remember my memories are gone? I'm like, oh. I swear to God,
at least flashbacks will be somewhat justified.
Yes, I mean that would make sense.
It's been 12 years, 13 years by the time it is.
Oh, exactly. But we will see. Anyway, that's my first negative. What is yours?
Yeah. Right. What is it? Let's have a look. Oh yeah. I, to an extent, kind of get like how the Alliance achieved everything they were trying to do, but I wish there was more meat to the bones, if you will, in terms of like explaining exactly how they were kind of doing this.
They went to Amy's room and went, "This is what we'll do."
Yeah, this will do.
She still has her books from school. Thank you.
That was another thing. Thing like we were talking about. Like, oh, it's the Daleks, Doctor. The Daleks. When she like looks at
the Romans that are there. Those Romans.
Yeah, those. And when she sees like the scorch marks outside the house, it's like, oh, someone's clearly been here. And then she turns and the door's just smashed in right in front of them. Oh, yes. I bet you could have just seen that, River. Like, oh, well, you didn't get that already. That's the first thing you saw. Oh, but yeah, I think I just need to like really pay attention to the lines and stuff because I think they do actually explain everything. But I don't know. I think maybe the plan could have been a bit more succinct. Yeah, like they say like we did this, we did that. But they don't really say how they did a lot of it. And maybe I'm just forgetting something or missed something, or something's next week really delved into it. I can't remember.
Yeah, they basically just say that they went to Amy's house, found they made the perfect trap, didn't they, for the Doctor?
Yeah, so I really like that as a plan.
Even though it's Amy, even though it's Amy's perfect trap, they made it for the Doctor apparently.
Yeah. Well, he can't resist the human.
Yeah, I think there's there is a way, but it's like, okay. I mean, I guess it's kind of easy. I think the Auton is the big get out there, isn't it? Is that they've got this creature that can effectively shapeshift into whatever it needs to be.
Yeah.
So if they want to make Romans, they can make Romans. If it was Egyptians, they could do Egyptians. If it was pirates, then it would be pirates. But Romans just had to be Amy's thing. Rory also happened to be dressed as a Roman with the police one, and that picture happened to be in that book, which I guess was maybe that's why he wasn't fully removed. Maybe because there was two at the same time that he just went whoop.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it seems like they're just pictures of Romans in the books, or all the other ones and stuff, or just copy pasted. But because that was a photo of a real person, I think they could kind of instill that inner conflict that Rory has, and that's why he holds on a bit longer and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, I mean, I can kind of buy it. It's all of Amy's favorite things.
Yeah, again, these are all kind of nitpicky stuff. Really, I didn't have any genuine complaints, but
it needed more than just River going, all of these things are where we are, and then it was our trap all along, and then that's
They told us what they did, but not necessarily how they did it. And it's not like I necessarily need to know every single detail. I would be interested in finding out. So when the Target novelization comes out, and we get flashbacks to the Alliance forming, and they do a big finish, that would be cool. I guess it's I'd have liked to have seen this rather than I don't understand.
It's something that I think if it was done poorly and it was in the episode, we might say they could cut it for time. It's one of those things that it's fine, but I would like to, being the nerd that I am, that we are, it would be nice to see how the aliens, the bad guys, did their plan. Which I think Stephen Moffat's pretty good at with something like Sherlock, where he shows sort of the backwards of, hey, here's how it all went. I think something similar for this might have been more. I don't know if he was doing Sherlock at this point. I can't remember when Sherlock started. Was it 2011 Sherlock, maybe
2010? So it would have been the same.
Or was it so the same time? So maybe. And but also I get that he doesn't want to do the same thing in his shows. But anyway, fair enough. Right, more of my nitpicks. I think this one's very harsh. They had the blowfish, but they didn't have the Slovene.
The costumes were just too badly damaged.
I know, and it's the tease of going, the Slovene are out there, the Slovene, and then for them not to show up, I'm like, can you not?
I guess by that point they'd painted them orange. I guess they'd painted them orange by that point, and they didn't want the blatherine in it for some reason, or maybe the costumes were just really bad condition.
I know. I mean,
so after SJA, we never saw them again.
Yeah, there's probably some reasons about it, but.
They might have been filming with them for So Damn Adventures at the time. So
they could have been, to be fair.
It was still going at that point,
but it's still unacceptable. They had the blowfish from the from a 5-minute pre-credit scene in Torchwood, but not the.
And it got a bloody action figure, that blowfish.
I know.
Did they win? No.
Harsh. They probably didn't feel like he was the. He was a role model that kids should have as action figures. But the cocaine snorting blowfish, that's fine.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
But never mind. I think, I mean, it's very nitpicky. We could go through all of them, like, hey, they mentioned these, but they don't show it. Like the Draconians are mentioned, and obviously I get why they haven't got those in there.
Long since gone costumes.
Yeah, but there's all sorts. You'd be like, oh, why didn't they just use this or use this? But just as a big fan of the Slovene, I think it's just heartbreaking that they were like, and I was looking for them, like, they mentioned them. Are they here? Are they here? I was like, are
you winning, son?
Not. Literally, big pain.
But
big pain.
You weren't winning, son.
No, I was crying, crying, watching the Doctor go like, where are the Slovene?
Listen to me.
Hands.
If you were strapped in there as it closes, where are the Slovene?
He said they'd be here. Don't know. You could even just get like, I don't know, some large people in and put zips on their foreheads. I don't care.
We were robbed of them in the Stolen Earth, and we've been robbed of them here.
Honestly, it's horrible.
They must be done justice when they get brought back. When they're the main villain.
I guarantee
the main villain of the Centenary.
I swear to God, if Russell doesn't bring them back, I will be writing a strongly worded letter on his Instagram. But we will see. Yes, like I said, very nitpicky. What is your next negative?
Yeah. Speaking of nitpicky, these two are embarrassingly nitpicky, but there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds so stupid. I wish they didn't have a Cyberman head above the surface as like the reveal of them.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they get there and it's early morning, and when they actually get into like the underhenge, it's dark. I'm like, you're telling me you didn't walk around that whole patch like bored out of your minds, Amy, like walking around and didn't spot the Cyberman head, and then you just do the big reveal again with the arm. It's like playing the Cyberman theme stuff. Like, I think that would have just been better, especially when the head plays such an integral part a bit later on anyway. I think it would have had more of an impact if we hadn't already seen that was there. So, you know, one of those things, again, very nitpicky because it's fine. But I think maybe as like an introduction, it would have been maybe a bit better to just hold off that bit longer.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I can't complain too much. But yeah, I think that's fair. And like I said, these are all nitpicky. But never mind. Speaking of when they first arrive and when they get to the underhenge, my next nitpick is the terrible stone CGI. Where the stone slides off the door. I'm like,
yeah, I did notice that.
That's horrible. Like when it's looking up from the stairs, I think they use like a practical stone thing there.
I think so.
It just looks bad. I just don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. Don't do that. I get, you know,
just don't.
Just have a styrofoam stone and be like, woo, and edit out the strings, or edit in the staircase. I don't know, but it's considering, like, you know, the CGI spaceships and all that come later on. It just baffles me that they can do all that really well, but then one single stone that slides across just looks poor. I know, you know, there's all kinds of things around how things that are supposed to be real often look worse in CGI. That's why you can do like a really good looking CGI Hulk, but not necessarily good looking CGI She-Hulk, because she's more human-esque than the Hulk is. So it's, you know, there's that kind of thing. And I think there's obviously that issue here where the stone, they try to make it look, well, I don't even know if they try to make it look real, but because you're expecting it to be a real stone, it's surrounded by real stones. I think it harms it more than it helps it. But again, it is a very small bit of CGI that is in like a couple of frames, but every time I see it, I'm like, that looks horrible. Considering the rest of the episode is very good. Considering we had a massive cliff face earlier at the start that looked pretty good. I'm like, that just looks naff. Just don't include it. Just don't include that shot. But never mind. Again, very nitpicky. What is your third / final negative?
Yes, it is my final because I really struggled, as you can as you're about to tell. The point of view shots of Amy when
that's my additional negative.
The wonky movie maker vision effects. I'm like, that looks so dumb. Like that's something you put in like a parody movie when someone's drunk or something. I'm like, you didn't just make it a bit blurry. You don't. I think that would have been scarier. See like a blurry shadow of a Simon. Oh just don't show it. We know what's happened to her. We understand what's happening, and they show it and certainly cut back to it so many times. I'm like, yes, we get it. And it's just. It is a bit weird, and it's a bit comical when like fades to black as she's like going away. So I'm not a huge fan of that. Again, I can deal with it because it's literally like 3 shots, but it does look like they just ran that through Movie Maker and then a filter.
Yeah, I think Doctor Who always has really bad POV shots. I don't know why they keep doing them. I think we've pointed them out a number of times throughout the first 5 series as well. Then do that again, please. But it is what it is. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world. They're like 4 shots, but yeah, I saw it. I went, that's not terrible. Just don't do it again. Sort of a quick one that I thought of in my sort of other notes is I'm not a big fan of the Autons having robotic sounding movements. Like they sound very much like they're androids rather than plastic. Which I was like, you know, if they're Autons, they had a really good plastic sound in Rose. You know, they sounded plastic. You know, whatever. Why change that from now? I guess maybe because they're more human. Maybe they're not actually like plastic. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, they don't. Again, they don't go into it. Yeah, they don't go into it. You know, they don't go into how the Autons were made or what they're based on.
Yeah,
could be that they are.
They kept the same sound effects for their guns and stuff, but they didn't really add any plasticky stuff, did they? And
Yeah.
I guess it wouldn't make sense to add that once it's been revealed that they're autons, because it is like, why aren't they always doing that?
Yeah, but then why add in the mechanical sounding movements?
Yeah.
Have that, because they have the whole when they're like moving towards the Doctor really, really fast behind him, by the way. They sound like kind of like the Clockwork Droids when they moved. They sounded like that, and I'm like, they're not androids, they're plastic. Again, a very nitpicky thing. But you know, if they're not already sounding like that, why include the sound effect? Why not just have the hand open and then that's, oh my god, Autons, you know?
Yeah.
But never mind.
It's nice to see them.
It was lovely to see them.
They haven't been back since the very first
thanks
one.
for coming. Thanks for coming.
So.
Lovely to
thanks
see
for
you.
being here, all. Time to bring them back.
See you next time. Do you have any other negatives?
I shockingly do not, because I was scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think I have anything else. You know, the flashbacks were relevant for once.
Yeah.
There is a reference to like 11, the Doctor saying, "Oh, if you get touched by the light, by the cracks, you get dropped out of the universe." So why didn't the Doctor get dropped out? Answer me this. Why didn't he get got? It doesn't make sense. I think, you know, I could live with it if they weren't like, "Oh, that's why you vanished, because you were touched by the light." Like, you put your hand in it. How did you not die? You put your hand in it. But never mind. I don't think we're ever going to find out. Maybe the Time Lords just saw him coming through and went, "Oh, put him back. I don't know.
They might be able to control it someday.
Who knows? I'll just accept it. I'll just move on. I'll move on with my life. Because nobody else gets swallowed by the cracks after this finale. So don't matter.
It's true.
Thank God. Before we rate the episode out of 10, have you got some fun facts?
I do.
Yay! I look forward to the list of the aliens.
Yeah, well, we're starting off with it, so
yes.
Enjoy. These are both ones that River mentioned or ones that we actually see costume-wise and stuff.
Which is which?
Can you guess? Are the Daleks in it? Oh, who can say?
Yes.
But yes, Daleks are. Dravins?
Nope.
No, they get a mention. They're from the first Doctor story, Galaxy 4.
Oh, definitely not. They definitely don't have the costumes for them.
Definitely not. Cybermen.
Yes.
Be surprised to find that they're in it. Autons.
Yeah, technically.
Be surprised to find they're in it. Silurians.
Yep.
Anyway. Draconians.
Nope.
They appeared in the third Doctor story, Frontier in Space, and they are John Pertwee's favourite monster. Fun fact.
They are very interesting. They're
really cool. Yeah, I like them. Yeah, they should do, really. But then that's such a political alien, isn't it? So we can't go woke.
We can only have Nazis in Doctor Who.
No, can't have this political monster in the 70s come back. Heaven forbid. It wasn't woke then, but it is now.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. Sontarans.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love that they got Christopher Ryan back rather than getting the other guy. Yeah, as great as he is as a Sontaran, I
as
really
great as Strax is.
We needed a serious Sontaran here.
Yeah.
Although
they could have had Strax. They could have had this be Strax before he got like banished or whatever. This could have been his failure. I think that might have worked better, because when we do meet Strax in Series 6, it's like, oh, I was sent here for failure, and we never get really much backstory and what that was.
Yeah, but I'm sure Big Finish have covered it.
Almost definitely.
So yes, we have that. Zygons.
No,
they get a mention, but we don't see them because obviously they don't come back until Day of the Doctor. Pteroleptils.
I can say no.
No, they get a mention. They're from the Visitation, the 5th Doctor story. And fun fact, they destroyed the Sonic Screwdriver in the classic series, and it wasn't seen again until Born Began. So because they got lots of complaints that it was overused, which definitely.
Oh wow! I wonder what will happen with Shooty the Sonic Screwdriver.
Yeah, we'll see. The Chelonians.
No,
indeed. They are from a 7th Doctor novel called The Highest Light. So that's a fun little mention.
Novel? Canonizing a novel? Unbelievable.
Stephen Moffat will never do that again. He'll never canonize anything that's outside of the TV show.
No.
Stheen.
No.
Yeah, less said about that, the better.
Yeah.
The Roboforms and Cigarettes.
Yeah.
We get a good to them. The Hoiks.
Yes, best boy.
By the Hoiks. Who'd have thought they'd bring the Hoiks back? But there you go.
Look, the Hoiks and the Blowfish. Look at us.
Yeah,
Who'd have thought?
still looks good. Weevils.
Yes, best boys.
Yes. Jadoon.
Yep.
Yes.
Boys.
The Uvodny, which is Kulak from Sodium Adventures.
No.
So,
then yes.
So yes, he's there.
Although I don't think that's Kulak, is it? It's supposed to be just a random.
No, it's the same costume, but
yeah.
I don't think it's supposed to be Kulak in particular. The Atraxi.
No, CGI budget wouldn't allow for it.
Not they look. There's just simply no time, but they do get a mention. And then finally, the Hemogloths.
I'm going to say no.
No, we don't see them. They get a mention. They are from a book called The Forgotten Army. They are the villains in that. Which, interestingly enough,
I've read that one.
Yeah, features the 11th Doctor and Amy, and it came out around when Series 5 was starting. So, they kind of a little in reference to that.
That's
from the
nice.
very
I like that. I do appreciate that because that, I like when the extended sort of novels and stuff is mentioned in the show, because then it's like, yes, finally, I'm not wasting my time reading these books.
Yeah, it does feel
they mean something.
They mean something.
Vindication.
Yes. This is the first episode to feature an in-narrative use of the Series 5 time vortex. So when River's traveling along in the TARDIS. So that's fun. The Weevils, the Blowfish, and the Uvodny are the first original aliens from the spin-off shows to feature in the main show. So good on them, I guess.
Nice.
The Hoiks also had a cameo in Torchwood, but obviously it started in Doctor Who. So
Did it? What's the Hoiks in? I guess it's in one of the prisons, is it?
It's the Series 2 finale. I think Owen kind of goes and finds one.
Oh, yeah.
Just before what happens.
Yes.
When River is listing off all of the aliens arriving at Stonehenge, the Supreme Dalek and Cyber Leader can be heard discussing their plan for the Doctor in the background. If you listen carefully, you could have spoiled the episode for yourself, which I think is quite neat. Kind of like Iron Man, if you can speak the language,
Mandarin.
the 10 rings.
Is it Mandarin? It's Mandarin, isn't it?
Which is fun. The episode was made to deliberately evoke the feel of the Indiana Jones franchise. River's scene
I wrote that. I did.
Wow.
It worked then. I wrote big Indiana Jones vibes. Look at that. Well done, Stephen. You've done it.
Absolute madman. River's scene at the Maldivarium is a gag drawn from the Temple of Doom teaser sequence, and the uses of torches in the Underhenge were inspired by Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's director. Write down the Underhenge.
Yeah. Director Toby Haynes played a clip from Raiders to everyone before shooting the scene where the Doctor, Amy, and River emerge into the Underhenge, and he wanted to show off the tempo that he wanted to use for that sequence. So he showed them that clip, which is very fun. While the disembodied Cyberhead is telling Amy, "You will be assimilated," which is a phrase more commonly related to Star Trek villains, the Borg, the Cybermen were indeed the first to use it in their debut story, The 10th Planet, because the Cybermen came first. Sorry about it, Borg. You cheap copies. I've taken the side. Amy's interest in Roman culture was a reference to Karen Gillan's previous Who role as a soothsayer in the Fires of Pompeii.
Didn't even.
Funny.
Makes sense now. Makes sense.
Yes. This episode was broadcast just days before the summer solstice, which takes place at Stonehenge, so that's a funny little coincidence. Some scenes were shot at the real Stonehenge, but they could only afford a one-night shoot and spent the only hour of daylight in the morning shooting a 3-minute dialogue sequence. The stones were not allowed to be touched, no heavy equipment could be brought in, and any lighting had to come directly from the floor. A foam and polystyrene replica of Stonehenge was used to film the rest of the required scenes.
My mum used to work for English Heritage at the time of this, and so it was a bigger buzz for her when she was working there. And I remember it vividly. I remember her being, "Oh, Doctor Who's being filmed at Stonehenge." I remember the like coverage it was getting in the news and stuff, and it's like a really big deal for it to be filming there. Because I don't think Stonehenge doesn't really let them do that. They're very sort of closed off, except for the solstices. I don't think that it's very rare that they let things like that happen, and I think it definitely again adds to the scale of the episode, the fact that they were allowed to do that. And it works. I mean, that's probably why they have the Underhenge for a lot of it, because it's like, we need a studio where we can go.
Yeah, they can't afford to actually film there for too long
to dig up the stones. Yeah.
That's fair enough. We just steal the stones.
What if there is an Underhenge? I think we should dig down and find out. So the whole budget went.
Yeah, you never know. River's main costume in this story was designed to evoke a mixture of Princess Leia and Han Solo, combining them together, which is quite fun. I can see it. Toby Haynes stated a lot of the episode was actually difficult to achieve as it had the same budget, if not even a little bit less than other episodes in the series. So considering that, he did a pretty good job. That's probably why The Rock didn't look very good. Never mind. This is the first story Stephen Moffat's written for the show to not feature aliens and monsters that he didn't personally create, which I hadn't realised, but it's true.
Yeah, I guess you can. Who did he create? Well, I guess he did the Atraxi, didn't he? I guess
all of his previous ones,
yeah. No Weeping Angels, no Gas Mask Zombies,
no Clockwork
no
Droids.
Bashta Narada. They could have had the Clockwork Droids, to be fair.
If the costumes are fine.
But yeah, fair. I don't know what else he's done. I don't know what episodes did he write this series. I forget.
11th Hour, Beast Below, and the Angel 2 Power.
Well, I mean, Liz 10 was in it, but she's not really the villain, isn't she? So I guess.
No.
Unless you're an anti-monarchist, Eccleston?
That's true. I bet you can stand that, yeah. This episode to date marks the final appearance of the Yellow Eternal Dalek, if in the chat for a real one. Liz 10's half of her scene was filmed at the same time as principal photography on The Beast Below. So I guess they wanted to make sure that they could actually get the actress back. So obviously River's scenes were shot separately for that whole bit. Who'd have guessed? The close-up of the characters riding horses are actually the actors sat on a saddle being towed by a truck. They had to act as if they were riding horses, something Karen Gillan called the strangest thing she'd ever done. There was a really funny shot.
20 Guardians. It was like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I did notice when River kind of goes to like get the help from the Romans, like, and I'm like, oh, that's so clearly a stunt double getting off the horse. It's very funny. But I find it charming. And then finally, Stephen Moffat wanted the Cybermen in this story to be ones from this Earth, not yet seen in the new series. However, there was no budget to change the Cybers of the costumes. This change was eventually brought in during the Cybermen's appearances in Series 6. So they were supposed to be from our Earth, but
yes, because
they couldn't replace the
Series 6. They have the
plain circle thing.
Just a plain one, isn't it? And then they go a step further in Nightmare in Silver.
Yes.
And then they go even further in the Series 10.
If anything, they go back in Series 10.
That's true. You're not wrong.
Then they go even further. I mean, Jodie's run.
Oh yes. Oh, God, you're right, and
So many Cybermen.
God, Cybermen are so overused.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
I would have them in every single episode.
That's fair.
if I ever took over, it's just going to be
what a converted Slitheen. That's what I want.
Oh
I want
God,
just a metal Slitheen, a big boy but metal.
Absolute unit.
Would love it.
But yeah,
brilliant.
Your fun facts.
Excellent fun facts. And we shall round off this video with rating this episode out of 10. What are you giving the Pandorica Opens?
What do I give it? I think I'll go for a 9.
Nice.
I had mainly nitpickies. Yeah. I had nitpicks really. Yeah. A solid first half.
Definitely. I think literally is that, it's nitpicks, so it's I can't give it any less than a 9. But it's as with every Doctor Who
if there was a Slitheen in it.
If there was a Slitheen, it would be a 9.5.
You're goddamn right.
But no, unfortunately, there's no Slitheen, so 0 out of 10.
Well, never mind.
Yes, so that is it for this video. Hopefully, as long as the stars line, we will be back tomorrow for the second half, the finale, the end of Series 5. There's been plenty of rumours abound about the potential title reveal of the Centenary special coming this weekend when these videos are going out. So in theory, we'll have recorded these before that happens. But if you're lucky, you may get a bonus third video around the long bank holiday weekend for us as well. So we shall see. It's getting very exciting. We're almost into September, getting ever so closer to the centenary, and we're still hearing nothing. So hopefully we'll hear something soon. Rumors are buzz of all sorts. When's it going to air? Who's going to be in it? What's the plot even going to be? Who knows? Who knows? It's a big, chunky, long episode. I'm very excited by sort of the rumors I'm hearing for it. So we will probably be back with some news on that, hopefully in the near future. So yeah, after this, the proper series finale, and then we'll have a series review, and then we're into Christmas in September. Don't you love it?
Yay!
What do you remember of The Big Bang, the series finale? Are you hopefully it will live up to your expectations?
Yes, I'm looking forward to the fairs, of course.
Of
an
course.
Iconic part of the whole look of the Doctor, or at least Matt's Doctor,
and the mop.
The mop, of course, yes. But yeah, I always really enjoyed it. Again, a very Doctor Who-y resolution to the story, and it's interesting to start from a place where like the world's kind of ending, and that's very kind of pick off. I think that's an interesting way of like starting, and it's like we've already lost, but here's how maybe we've already fixed it, but also we need to make sure that we've already fixed it. It's wibbly wobbly timey wimey. Sorry to use the phrase. But yeah, I really enjoyed the finale from what I remember, and considering I had similar feelings to Pandorica Opens, hopefully I still enjoy The Big Bang as much as I did when it first aired. I think there's some good character stuff in there. It has my favourite line in Doctor Who history in it, when the Doctor says goodbye to young Amy. So, looking forward to getting emotional at that, because I love that one. And yeah, just that whole sequence.
The dancing giraffe.
The drunk giraffe, the iconic moments there. And yeah, I am excited to see how it all gets wrapped up. I think it's like an hour long, I think, from what I remember. So yeah, we will see how it all plays out, but I think I'm probably going to enjoy it anyway.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
Yeah, we'll see. If it's as timey-wimey as I remember, that is obviously going to leave it open to probably a few more problems and plot holes and stuff. But hopefully we'll just find some nitpicks and we'll make do with that. But yeah, I think it's a very strong ending to the series from what I remember. Hopefully that I still feel that way.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I've always preferred the first half of this finale to the second one. Mainly, I think because I think there's an aspect of feeling cheated in. Oh my God, there's so many aliens too. Now you've got a Dalek and you've got one Dalek. So we will see how I feel about that. Whether I've changed my mind or whether I've been turned. We'll see. I'm always willing to be impressed and be have my expectations exceeded, which I do hope this will happen, because
will you be the people who didn't like Multiverse of Madness because it didn't have 200 cameos?
Yes, maybe. Who knows?
Tune in tomorrow to find out.
Yes.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yes, let's say yes.
Let's say yes.
Yes, that's it for today. We will be back with all sorts in the near future. So yeah, see you then. Bye.
Bye.